Hi again, this is Elizabeth from Elizabeth's Monument Care, doing a tour of one of my favorite areas of the Strathroy Cemetery, and I'm going to show you why. I can begin the panel. Hope I'm not going too quick, but this is a pathway in the cemetery that is not paved. It's got fine gravel, and our caretakers rake it and take good care of it. And the reason why I love this is because it just makes me feel more connected to how the cemetery would have been in the 19th and early 20th century before they were paved. So I'm going to take you for a little walk. And the dog is barking out the window. That's kind of cute. So I'm taking you over to this particular little stone that's here, which is near and dear to my heart. When I first started coming to the cemetery, actually when I started coming years and years ago when I was a little girl, I always remembered the little Flossie headstone, but we didn't know what her last name was. I'm not sure anybody currently in Strathroy was able to confirm who she was. So one day I was cleaning the stone and I saw that I could see a little bit of a letter at the bottom part. So I got my trusty equipment and I very carefully started to lift this up inch by inch until it was surfaced as you see now. And we confirmed that it was Florence Harrison. The lovely little lambstone is looking much better, and we now know what her last name is. There's something about white stones in the wintertime that's especially lovely, and these little lamb ones are quite touching. I believe there's another one nearby here in the cemetery as well. This one is not in as good a shape, but it's another one of those little lamb ones. I believe it says James on there, but I don't know offhand who it is. Unfortunately, this one has been much more damaged. This kind of marble is not always so durable when it comes to any sort of polluted rain, etc. that kind of ate away at the surface. So you can see we have the two lamb memorials here for two children. And another stone that is near and dear to my heart is this one right here. These kind of stones here they get a lot of liking over time, so I've gradually been working on cleaning this stone. It's kind of hard to get a good view of, sorry for my sniffling, a good view of the material that's found. I think right now it only says grandma on it, so I haven't quite figured out what it was. And you can see there's this layer of ice right now, because we just had an ice storm. So I'm hoping over time this stone will get brighter and brighter, because it really is quite an interesting stone. I don't think there's another one quite like this one in the cemetery. And the next thing I wanted to show you is we now have, again, a lamb. But what's interesting about this one is that it is what I had talked about before, the material known as white bronze. If you haven't seen my other video, white bronze is a material that a factory in St. Thomas, Ontario, which is a small city off of Lake Erie, and they made these white bronze monuments, and they are only made for about from 1883 to 1900, I believe, and they have not been made since, but they are a lovely material. They're incredibly durable, but they did not seem to survive in the long run. But you can see this inscription is in the same shape it probably was 100 years ago or so when it was made, or more than 100 now, I guess. So again, we have that theme of children's stones being, and memorials being lambs. So this is a beautiful memorial. I end up having stones that are kind of pets, they're kind of favorites, and they're not always ones that you would expect. I guess I have a variety of ones that I quite like, and some of them are small and some of them are large, and this is one of the stones that I really love. It was quite dirty before, but now it's I've managed to clean it up quite a bit, and it is just so solid. One of the exciting things about cleaning these is you start to see the grain that's within the stone. This is a really hard one. I'm going to assume it's granite, but I'm not entirely sure. And what I love is so often when I come here, there's a little rabbit footprint. So that is just one that I check on and that I quite love. Keep moving. In the distance you can see the oldest areas. My first video was from that area. Some absolutely beautiful little stones like this as well. Not that easy to read anymore. So the last stop on my tour of this is Jonathan Robinson, a stone also that I'm quite attached to. Just kind of a sad story that he had gone away, maybe to Michigan or somewhere, and when he arrived back, they suspect somebody was burglaring his home and was surprised, and he ended up being killed by this burglar who was never caught. So that's why his family put that date. They weren't entirely sure of when he died, but that is the day he was believed to arrive home. And apparently the family had always kept this inscription up to date, painted, but had done it in red. Someone recently has redone it in brown. So I like to occasionally add something that I think is kind of sweet, just to remind us all that Jonathan Robinson apparently he was a very gentle British man, and it's nice to keep that in mind. Have flowers planted, begonias and things like that, just so we can remember the person instead of the crime. And that's the end of the tour of my favorite little path in this cemetery. You can see a long and beautiful walk here under all of these evergreens. Until next time.